Woken.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Ingram.
Hello.
Rector.
Here.
Harper.
Here. We have one public participation, Mr. Ron Kester.
Thank you very much. My name is Ron Kester. I live at 1209 West Oregon Street in Urbana. I wanted to talk a little bit about the issue related to the jail. And I wanted to talk about a little bit as a facilities issue, but also as a community issue, and echoes some of the things that Representative Ammons had to say a couple of weeks ago when she was previewing state-level legislation that's going to reform the cash bail system and quite possibly reduce the jail population by 25 to 35%. Right? That's what cash bail reduction looks like in other states and other communities when they do that. Before I came over, I went to the sheriff's website and did their lookup so you can see exactly who's incarcerated in Champaign County. And so maybe I'll just share those numbers with you first and some of my impressions of those. 192 people currently incarcerated, 125 of them at the satellite jail next door, 37 of them downtown, 30 people on electronic monitor. People with bond amounts, 125 people with bond amounts. What that means is the court has determined that if they put up a certain amount of money, they can be free, but right now they're incarcerated. And of those bond amounts, if you calculate those that are less than 25,000, meaning that if it were a bond amount is 10,000, you have to put $1,000 up. If it's 5,000, you have to put $500 up, right? 45 people could be released if $48,097 were put forward by the county board. That's not money that you spend, it's money that you post. If you posted that amount of money, according to the court's own rules, 45 people would be free tomorrow. And that would leave 117 people in the two different facilities, right? So this is what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about what the state level legislation reform is going to look like. It's going to impact the county to that degree. 45 people who are currently incarcerated wouldn't be incarcerated under those rules, right? We can interpret what the judges might think of those rules, but those are the 45 people whose accusations against them are such that if they just put a few $100s or a couple of $1,000s on the table, they're allowed to be free, right? That's what the judges determined. So not some of those stories that you're thinking about in terms of people who are incarcerated. Those bond amounts go up to 100,000, millions of dollars, right? That's when the court says, under no circumstances are we going to let you out, right? That's the court's determination. So if you want to sort of go through that with a little bit more of a fine-tooth comb, what you find is 25 people are there for domestic violence, 14 people are there for DUI, 27 people are there for suspended or revoked licenses. And it's interesting when you look at the suspended and revoked license and you see that massive amount of people, that's always the case. There's a ton of people who are in jail because they don't have their paperwork in order, but they're still using their cars, right? It's interesting that if you go through that number and start looking at it more closely, you can find that on November 19th, 7 people were all booked into the jail. And they were all from around the same neighborhood in Champaign. So I'm assuming that there was some kind of a roadblock. And people just went through and looked at their paperwork and said, does this work or does this not work, right? And then they went to jail. And of those 7 people, 5 of them are going to be released on December 19th, meaning they all went in front of the judge. The judge said 1 month in jail, see you at the end of December, right? A few of those people got longer sentences. That probably means this is a multiple, this has happened more than a few times for them, right? And they're trying to keep them off the road. So I guess the point is that there's a great percentage of people who either have committed a nonviolent offense or who have committed violence, but there's every reason to believe that reunification with their families and with the communities should be taking place sooner rather than later. And when you have that large population of people, like 50 or 60 people who are currently incarcerated who fall into that category, for me, I say, do we really want to put them in the jail next to people who are accused of murder? People who are accused of aggravated sexual assault? I mean, those are the kinds of people that are supposed to be incarcerated historically, detained by the state until the business of the state is done. But what you see here is an example in which policy is being interpreted and implemented in such a way that a very large group of people ends up occupying a facility in the county. So what that says to me is you can use your own policy and your own authority to start emptying out that facility and saying that it's only going to be used for people when it's appropriate, when the standard really is there and the standard is met. And if it's not, we're just going to go in and bail them out. And if you do want to build something, can I encourage a mentality of decarceration? Because that's what's happening at the state level, that's what's happening at the national level, and that's a bipartisan issue. You can find as many Republicans promoting decarceration as you can Democrats. And when they promote it, what they're saying is, we might still have to detain people, but let's detain them in the least intrusive way possible, such as alternative housing arrangements. And so I would encourage you all to think that through a little bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron. Anybody else? Public participation. All right, we'll close that. And board or committee communications? Anybody? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business, and we'll turn this over to Dana.
Thanks. First up, let me apologize that normally when we send out our documents, as we're getting ready to send out a bid, 2 bids in particular, we usually try to include a little more information. Unfortunately, the packets were so huge. That's 480 pages back to back right there for one bid document. It's being cut down. We started working on it Wednesday night, and over the weekend, it'll be down to about 280 pages by tomorrow morning. It's got absolutely everything in it, and it refers to manuals, which contractors know. Just point out the manual. You don't need to put everything that's written in the manual in the document. So, young engineer put that together. She's extremely thorough and did a good job, but we got to cut back the information a little bit. Couldn't afford the paper, frankly. So I do apologize for not getting that out. It is available. It's on the website electronically. I will have paper copies if somebody would like one. They'll be a little bit skinnier than that starting tomorrow if somebody wants to take a look at it, or if we've got any questions. Anyway, we'll get going. This is the MetCAD HVAC project that was planned for in our capital asset projects for this coming year. What it does is it replaces 4 out of 6 air handlers at MetCAD. We will bid out as alternates the other 2 remaining. It moves all of the controls to digital. Right now, it's basically it's on 24/7. You set a temperature, like a lot of places, unfortunately, and that's what the temperature is. With digital controls, you can have setbacks. There will be significant savings. In utilities, this is high efficiency equipment. We will be doing a lot of work in the basement. We have sat down with MetCAD. They've been involved with the process as well as the engineering. So they've seen the plans. They're excited about it. It gives them some redundancy, particularly with regard to their servers and their high performance areas, call center and equipment, which they don't have currently. So it really will benefit them. That is a county building. They do pay rent for it. So it'll be a good investment for them. think we've talked about it before, but the project itself is estimated to be about 670,000. Besides the air handlers, we'll be placing 2 water heaters, all new temperature controls, obviously, reheat, condenser pump, some pump alarm, um, really modernize basically the HVAC system in the building, which about half of it is original. So it's old equipment and definitely needs to be replaced. So attached with your packet we did send out, if you can read it, I realize it's small on an 8.5 and 11 by sheet, but are basically the drawings for the building showing what's happening and where, basement and upper floor. There's 4 air handlers downstairs. There's an east mechanical room and a west mechanical room. Those 4 will be replaced. There's 2 that are outside. We're moving some of the equipment to the roof, getting it off of the ground, accessible by vehicle or by walking by, just to give them a little bit more security around the facility. They've got it is a secured facility. It's 24/7. They've got a very nice camera system, but it just gets some of the equipment out of the way and a little bit more secured. So that in a nutshell is basically that project. We hope to, with your approval, bid it out tomorrow. It'll come back and open bids up on the 31st of December, and then we'll bring it back to this body early January, and then hopefully on to county board. Completion date, we're looking at latter part of May, trying to get this done before summer hits, especially when they need to cool. It's a little easier to pull in outside air to cool their server areas while their equipment's not there than it is during the summer. So, any questions?
No questions this time. Could I get a motion for the approval of authorization for ITB number 2020-001 Metcad HVAC replacement project bid document?
Move approval.
Mr. Summers and Mr. Ingram. Any discussion now? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Go on to item B, Dana.
Okay. This is asking for approval for authorization for bid number 2020-002. This is the video security systems, both at the courthouse and JDC. The one at JDC is a little more involved because it's also the access control portion, which are electronic doors for the facility and communications. So courthouse was estimated to be about 275,000. JDC is a little bit more just because they've added in the access control and voice. Funding mechanism for this is courthouse is coming out of the court construction fund, capital fund, and then JDC is funding this through part of their capital fund, as well as some other dollars coming from the courthouse and the presiding judge. So both current systems, antiquated. About half the cameras at JDC are non-functioning. Very similar story at the courthouse. Tremendous amount of blind spots at the courthouse. We're increasing by 100% basically the number of cameras at the courthouse. With the judge's approval, there will be cameras now and security cameras, voice in the courtrooms. There'll be no blind spots, which will be nice at the courthouse, as well as JDC. JDC has a number of blind spots that cause problems for the staff. So this system will replace that, all new servers. You'll be able to access this. Sheriff's office will be able to access it off of the internet. with its password protected, obviously. Very few people will have access, obviously, to JDC because it involves minors. So really, that's a JDC operation only, and if they need to cut a tape for an incident that occurs and pass that along to the sheriff, that's how that one will work. But that's it, kind of in a nutshell. Sheriff's staff and sheriff himself have been involved in the planning, as well as other members of the courthouse with our engineering firm and myself. Same with JDC. Michael Williams, as well as Keith Willis and his staff have been involved with planning, going over the facility, walking through the schematics that have been produced. So I think everybody's happy with what we have planned, and we've been talking to several potential vendors and know that it's viable for the dollars. So we feel good about the project and would like to get it kicked out and posted.
Okay, any questions for Dana right now? Go ahead, Mike.
I'm glad you mentioned it before because I didn't. It's mostly just the layout drawings in here. But so is it completely covered by the funds that you mentioned? Like there's a couple different channels that it's coming from, capital fund wise, courthouse, and but that's all.
Yes,
Okay.
the courthouse itself is being covered through our court construction fund. So, if it's over 275,000, we'll look to probably talk to you guys about adding a little bit from our capital asset fund that we've got left over from either last year or this year. So,
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, motion to approval of authorization for ITB number 2020-002 courthouse and JDC video security system replacement project bid document.
So second.
Ms. Taylor and Mr. Ingram. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item C, Dana.
JDC Roof. Hard to believe we're still talking about it in December, but we are. We are very close to finishing up. We've got the west side of the building to put the cap on, and we have the garage to go around to put the cap on. They lost some material due to the heavy winds, got damaged, so they ordered new aluminum capping. That hopefully will arrive tomorrow. By Monday, they should be complete. We have given them a final drop dead date, warranty to be in place, all work to be completed by the 18th of the month. Project has gone over, but we've also had, weather it affects the roofing process significantly, especially when it rains and or snows, as it did on us. So, but they will be done. I anticipate by Monday, and we will schedule a walkthrough with their provider of the EPDM rubber that actually provides the final warranty for the project sometime next week. So we should have everything done by the 18th with no problem.
Any questions on that project? All right, we'll move on to item D.
Which is Brookins Pod 100 roof replacement. Same company, ACR, Advanced Commercial Roofing. They are complete with the roof. They probably have another day, maybe day and a half, depending upon what got done today, on finishing up the edging around the facility. You put down the material in the middle and then finally adhere it on the edges, the last part of the project. So they have all the material they need, and it's just getting the good weather to finalize it. But I talked to them this morning, and they're in very good shape there, and should finish up in the next day and a half tops. Same thing next week. We hope to schedule. It's the same EPDM provider who will be here. We'll physically walk the roofs, of both buildings, take photos. They'll deliver the warranty and submit their final payments, so.
Any questions on that project? Good job, Dana. Thank you very much. I have no other business. Anybody else? Mr. Rector?
Dana, do you have any update on our friends over at the nursing home with the letters that still say Champaign County Nursing Home? I know you guys have been working on it. Not a criticism. It's the way I always drive in for these meetings, and it bothers me, and I know it bothers other fellow members. Might be Mr. Ingram, same issue. It's just, and it came up, anyway. I'm very frustrated, not at you, sir, but in general.
Yeah, it seems to me that they could have produced some sort of vinyl sign that just covered the actual sign that's there right now until they were able to produce the new one. Bottom line is Wednesday, sometime late morning. They haven't given me a time yet, but it's this Wednesday. I'm meeting with the company that's providing signs at the Art Bartel entrance to both Main and to Learman, as well as this sign that you're talking about for signage. So I'll have a better idea after Wednesday. And if it's going to be much longer, I'll kind of mandate they probably need to come up with a temporary. So we are going to try and save, just for your info, the Champaign County letters so we can possibly use them in some manner down the road. Perfectly in good shape, so we'll get a hold of those. Sorry?
That'd be a nice bipartisan project.
Just a thought. I think, as Mike mentioned, the idea of seeing this stack of paper here is somewhat upsetting to me. Perhaps this committee could come up with some kind of a policy. I don't really want to hamstring our director with a specific number of pages, but I'd like to have give him the ability to have the latitude to cut it off at a reasonable amount and then simply point out to folks that we can look it up online and see it. If maybe this would be a good discussion to have when this committee is reconfigured after the next election. If somebody that is on this committee is adamant that they want a paper copy, then let them suggest, or let them indicate that to Dana. But I don't want to waste the county's money or paper when I think most everybody here has the ability to look up stuff online and be able to view these documents. So I'd like to have something codified, maybe not this particular board, but maybe the next board, so that we can not waste county money.
I kind of agree with that. That's probably so detailed, most of us sitting here couldn't understand it anyway. You that's been in construction might understand it, but it's the rest of us. But anyway, any other items? Mike, go ahead.
I'll echo that, and maybe the idea would be that because I like having my packet with small things in it, but like maybe if there was a page threshold that basically just when the meeting announcement or something went out to the members, it could just say, this won't be printed, it's in your packet. If anybody does want a hard copy, let us know. But I think that'd be wise. I did have a question, just since we've been talking so much about the JDC today. If you happen to know offhand, Dana, what where they're at when it comes to how much they're using that, like how much of that space they're using. Because in the past, I know when I've heard from any kind of reporting from the sheriff's office or anything like that, it's a pretty small amount of people typically that would be in there. I don't even remember honestly, and Ron's gone now. If there's a stat tracking of that we even have access to, or if it's different because it is.
I think it is different because they're minors. So I'm not sure that information is posted anywhere. I can tell you that they are staffed to handle up to 25. That is not a full building. I think their full building might look like 32 or 34. I think they're somewhere kind of varying in the range of, 15 to 18 to 20 sometimes. It ebbs and flows, like the other two adult facilities of ours. So they do use it a lot. They've got several classrooms over there that are utilized every day, and with professionals here to help teach. Obviously, they've got indoor and outdoor recreation that goes on, and other programming that's there. Dining area that's there. Meals are provided. Actually, the satellite jail provides the meals. They're brought over 3 times a day and delivered. So they do use quite a bit of the facility. I don't think, if the question, if you're looking at, can there be parts of it used for other things like female? If that was I don't think you can put adults there. Again, you have to have a separation for female, both visual and sound. They're not set up for that. So that would be very difficult to follow juvenile rules and have adults in the building and also try to follow adult correction policies and procedures. Hopefully that helps. If you have any questions or want to know, I'm sure that you can either talk to Mike Williams, who's in charge of it ultimately, or the warden, Keith Willis.
Thanks.
Anything else? Next meeting will be January 7th, 2020. Designation of items to be placed on consent are 6A and B.
Actually, we don't need it.
We don't need it?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. You approved it. It's going to go out to bid,
All right.
and
Nothing on consent then?
nothing on the consent. And January meeting is when we hope to bring back bids from both the video security project that's will get shipped out tomorrow and posted, as well as MetCAD HVAC. So so that 7th is an important meeting to get those approved, so we can kick it up then to hopefully the county board.
Okay. Nothing else? Meeting's adjourned here.